We're back on the Jetta finally. I've had a severe lack of motivation surrounding this thing, mostly because it's winter and I just don't want to do it. But really, we need to put ourselves in a good position so that when springtime hits, we can drop this thing in and start getting mounts set up and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to stay on. A lot of this on this side will stay on, but these things can come off and I can re-gasket them. I'm going to leave all the injector stuff hooked up. We'll just clean around the best we can. And object number 2 is to start on that wiring harness. I'll put up clips from my frustration trying to get the manuals online. Looks like I won't be able to get them until Monday. And then it'll be a rush to try to download everything that I need because I only bought a 24-hour pass. So we'll dig into the harness a little bit, start at least separating it, but I want floor space for that. So as is tradition, got to do some cleanup first. Well, speaking of the devil, just now, 5:51 p.m., I get an email from Volkswagen America tech support that all I need to do is add the credits in my account. So I just need to add it to the cart, and that's when my time starts. So maybe I'll do it later tonight, probably not. What I'll probably do is Sunday morning, tomorrow, I'll go ahead and activate that and download all the things because I don't need it to do the majority of work on this because we really are going to need to cut apart all this sticky, nasty stuff, right, and get all the wires separate so we can get just the things we need to make the engine run. And when it's in the car routed the way we like, we'll wrap it back up. So our hairy mess will get even hairier, but at least it'll be separated into parts. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned before, my new motivation was to run the heater for almost 24 hours to get the temperature up in here so I can shorten t-shirt. So, you spend a little bit of cash to heat the garage. I'm not going to let that go to waste. It'd feel like a real piece of crap. So, yep. Finally cleaned up. I got that degreaser from before. We'll just hit some of the stuff like, before we take it off even. It'll have to go in the parts washer to make it nice, but we might as well give it a head start. This stuff doesn't take long. I have a soak to make it work well. The thing's a mess. The thing I'm most afraid of isn't even really wires coming out. It's having labels pull off, right? So I'm trying to make sure that I just kind of untangle things and get them pulled in their own direction one at a time without tearing things apart and getting my labels screwed up, because that's the only way we'll be able to work on things tonight is if they stay labeled. Like this one, right? It's got a label on it. Yeah, good. It was good. So keep at it. We'll get it as far apart as we can. This is doing pretty well. Some of it's actually just like dripping off as it soaks. So give it another spray. Plenty of time. Go back, check out the wiring. So this is basically separated enough that we can make sense of it, right? And so like even looking down here, we know this is engine stuff, ECU, like none of this is going to get touched. And then down here we have stuff for the fender, coolant level, these guys, washer pump, washer fluid pump, washer fluid level, hood latch switch. Some of these, passenger headlight, we'll probably leave those in place too. I would like to take the lights away, but the general shape of the engine bay is the same for all cars, right? So it should route pretty easily without having to like molest it. This is so bad. Like it's even worse than that backside was, because this is where I had this pipe had broken and I tried to duct tape it together. And like, look how thick this is caked on. Like, I'm ashamed of myself. Oh, it's so awful. But it takes some time. We got time, right? It's not like we're gonna put it in the car until I would guess at least late March. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it snowed a ton a bit in April last year, so I don't know. But we'll just keep peeling this stuff off, letting it drop into the pan, and then like any of these areas where I agitate it, when I spray it with more degreaser, it'll kind of wash it away a little bit. And then this will kind of help keep the parts washer from getting too nasty. I get a little jar out, it seems to work pretty well, so I can brush it, get like just bulk huge nasties off of it until the brush gets clogged up, which in the beginning is going to be pretty quick. Just all this sludge. Urgh. Yeah, I even found out that oil sending unit's gray, but now I can see the VDO sticker or the stamping on it and everything. So I'm gonna clean it up, and I got this packed up nasty brush, and I got a jar full of the degreaser. And if I just aggressively swish it around, it tends to break most of it off. Not all of it, but enough, you know. So maybe what I'll do is grab, this is the steel one, I got a brass one too. So maybe if I let them sit and alternate them, it'll all come off. Oh, there we go. I'm like, that's good enough. Oh, whoops. All that work for nothing, right? The bucket full of greasy stuff, and then I was reminded quickly after I took that off, I was like, hey, this is where oil comes in and out for, you know, some of it's unfiltered and then it goes back in filtered. And we don't want any of this garbage going into the filtered side and just trashing our bearings when we start it back up. So I think somewhere out there's a video. It's one of those videos that says, you know, super fast, amazing workers, you know, top 10, whatever. And it starts with some guy making 400 eggs in Korea on the side of the road. And then the next clip is a dude that has a wiring harness in front of him, and he wraps all of it with a single piece of tape without stopping. So they do these backwards. Well, not backwards, it's the right way to them. And they start at the bottom and they work their way up. So they'll take a wire and they'll wrap it to like here, and then they'll start over it and they'll wrap it up, tying in along the way. So I found a spot where I was able to get it undone, and it's brittle and gross and it just kind of falls apart. But they overlap in such a way you need to start from the top down. And I'm thinking what I need to do is, instead of starting up there and going for the glory, is do it in sections and just kind of like try to cut in between and get a piece separated and unwrap a little bit and work my way up. It's going to be tedious and gross, so I'm just going to set a timer, work on it for whatever, an hour, say, so I don't go crazy, and then come and hit it some more tomorrow. Oh, making good progress. See, we have everything, you know, we're not pulling everything. Well, we'll have to pull off a little here because it's 2 connectors, and I want it, well, maybe not. Let me see what they're labeled. We have fender light and something level. I can't read it. Wash level? So I think it's washer fluid level. We can leave those together. That'll be okay. It's just a little bit of tape here to separate them, so no big deal. But every connector up to that spot we started at is now separated. This is going to be a chore. I'll probably just cut that apart because we're not going to use that in the next firewall. Oh, and there's my timer. Got a little cigar going here. And that's about 1/3 of the way done. So, yeah, if we can get 2 more sections this long done, that'll be a lot more progress than I expected. All right, my timer ran out. So we're going to follow the rules we made up so we don't go crazy because we are hitting that limit. But I made it all the way up to this intersection and removed a lot of the cloth tape to the firewall connection thingy that I'll end up leaving anyway. But this is what you end up like this is all sticky, right? Oh, I got hiccups. That's awful. And you can see it, and I hate how that feels. It's awful. But you have to deal with it if you don't like having sticky fingers. Jesus. I had to get hiccups just now, didn't I? Well, it's dark out, but it's not even 8 yet. Well, close to 8. Trying not to stay up too late. But I've been thinking the last day and a half about this wiring harness garbage, and I just don't, it shouldn't be my priority right now, right? It's a pain in the butt, yeah, but really, with the weather getting warmer, what I need to do is make sure that I can start getting stuff and putting it on the car. So somewhere in there's that K-member, my subframe for the engine, the rear part, and that needs bolts that I bought welded into it and then stitched back up and then painted. Those 2 front cross members for the radiator, the lower support, need to be wire brushed and painted up. Same thing, like do axles, get the control arms ready, and just have it ready to bolt together. Because for sure, when my clutch shows up later this month, it's supposed to ship on the 18th. Should be looking at getting gaskets for this guy, get that back together so I have a unit on the hoist ready to drop into place. But that won't be super necessary until the car is ready to have something dropped in it, and that's not going to happen without all of the supports. I'll probably need some kind of mount for the transmission, I would guess, because I don't think the one that I don't think the Mark II one's going to bolt up. I think they need one off of the Corrado, or I need to see if it's something that I can drill out and modify. But really, I'll probably jump on eBay or something and order a part. So well, it's actually a lot quicker to get all this stuff out than I thought. I put it in relatively smart spots, and then I even did something else smart, is I put the bolts that I'm going to weld in on the proper nuts for that side. So these two are going to be the verticals that go up through here, where we saw that the body had already been fixed, and then our horizontal ones where we made the cuts. I'm leaving these in place. These are the pieces I have to put back in. I'm going to leave them up here so I don't lose them, because nothing's bothering them now. Yeah, so really the next order of business is I might as well pull the transmissions out, pull this rear mount, because this is the setup that we're going to need to move, because we want the hole right here to mount to that K-member. And I think that this part is not going to bolt up to the Mark IV trans. I think we're going to have to get a Corrado G61 or figure out some solution. Oh, so this there's a nice crack down it. I mean, not that I was going to use this transmission anyway, but it's just around for parts. Still, didn't even notice that until I started banging away on it. Had to heat this up a bunch. Got some coil in there. We're going to try to twist it out. Oh, good stuff. That should be this guy. Yeah, I'll get that cleaned up. So yeah, not even close. I thought maybe it would be borderline, but you can kind of see from here, right, the distance from the differential to that mount on that transmission is much further than here. So this comes in way too far. It doesn't fit up there correctly. And then where this would go, right, they're not through bolts. So what we need is that Corrado one where it bolts through the mount into these three, right? And then it probably has a slightly different metal piece here to go in place. So we'll have to look that up better now than, you know, when we're trying to fit the engine in, so we can get parts ordered while we're getting everything else ready. I mean, really what I need to do is get those service manuals downloaded. I had started a video on that and never finished editing it because it wasn't instantaneous. When I got the manuals for the van, for the Q7, I gave them money and it gave me access for 24 hours. When I did it for the Volkswagen side of things instead of Audi, they don't give you access immediately. Some weirdo processes the card. And it was like a couple days later, they sent an email. They're like, okay, you should have a credit. When you log in, you can purchase it and it'll start. And I still haven't done that yet. So maybe that's the ticket, is tomorrow night, get on there, download a bunch of manuals, then I can look through and maybe find the actual part numbers of these things from like the G6. Ooh, I have a Corrado manual. I have a paper one. Hold up. So no part numbers, but just looking at the picture of the transmission route, right? Look how straight that arm is. Like it comes almost straight back. And then the mount to the differential, right, goes through this way and has two bolts and a little ear. Oh no, it has three. Look, there's one underneath. So it must come up, and then this comes almost straight. So if we had something here kind of coming up and then almost straight from, yeah, that makes sense. So we need Corrado mount stuff. It looks like it'll work. That'll be the next step. Until then, hang out until the weekend, and when I'll have hours at a time to grind away